We're going to be playing Pokemon Fire Ash for 100 in-game days and see what happens. Fire Ash is a Pokemon game where you get to play through all of Ash's journey, starting from Kanto all the way to Galar. And of course, the biggest rule is we only get to use Ash's Pokemon. So let's get started. First things first, we start off our journey by waking up, and you guys may remember that Ash was of course late to get his first starter Pokemon, which is why none of them were available and only one Pokemon remained. First of all, we run into, of course, Gary, and then our day starts as we receive Pikachu. Of course, Pikachu back then was a little bit more angry and, well, rude to say the least. Nonetheless, now that we have our Pokemon, we see Ho-Oh flying over us, just like Ash did back in the day, and then we head to Viridian City. Now, of course, there is no gym here, but we do run into Team Rocket, who are doing some nefarious things. So we take them on, we take down the Ekans and the Koffing without too much trouble. As we make our way towards Viridian Forest, we will be finding a few new Pokemon, like, for example, Pidgeotto, which is a Pokemon that Ash had, as well as Caterpie as well being added to our squad. We reach Pewter City, and here we take on, of course, Brock, the man, the myth, the legend. Now, as you may notice, we can only use a certain amount of Pokemon, as we are only allowed to use the exact same amount of Pokemon that Ash used during his actual battles against these gym leaders back in the anime. We take down the, well, I guess the Onix and the Geodude without too much trouble, giving ourselves our first gym badge. Then we make our way over to Mount Moon. Of course, there isn't really much to happen here. There isn't really much story stuff that happens there, but then we get all the way to Cerulean City, where, of course, Misty's waiting for our battle against her. Now, you may notice that we don't actually see Brock and Misty following alongside us, but they are technically with us on this journey. We go in with Pidgeotto, which takes down the Staryu, as well as a Starmie without too much trouble, giving us our second Cascade gym badge. There it is, ladies and gents. We've taken down another gym battle, but next we head to the Hidden Village. If you guys may remember, this is where Ash gets himself Bulbasaur. So we pick him up, head over to Route 25, and here we run into Team Rocket again, as well as the Squirtle Squad. We, of course, defeat Team Rocket with their Ekans, as well as their Koffing, standing not much of a chance, and then also our Metapod, or our Caterpie, evolves all the way into a Butterfree, and we also obtain Squirtle into the squad. We meet the guy who left behind his Charmander, as well as, well, acquiring it, and then we also get a Krabby into our team, which we find on the beach here. We run into Bill, who gives us an old rod for helping him return back into human form. Before we continue, I want you guys to tell me, what is a Pokemon that Ash should have caught in the anime? Let me know in the comment section down below. Either way, our journey continues on from this point forward as we make our way to Vermilion City, where we run into Brock again, and he wants to have a battle. He wants to show us how much stronger he's gotten, and so of course we're going to give him the pleasure. He has an Onix, which we poison with Butterfree, and next up he has a Geodude again, which we take down with the help of Charmander and of course with Squirtle, as we also evolve our Charmander into a Charmeleon. You guys remember, this is when the Charmeleon gets a little bit more toxic. Either way, Surge is up next, and here this battle is going to be quite spicy because he only has one Pokemon against us. Interestingly enough though, just like how Ash loses in the anime, we end up actually losing our first try against him here when we're trying to take him down and win this battle. We actually lose against his Raichu, but fear not, we return to take him on once again, and this time around we have way more luck. Of course, we use Charmeleon again, and you will notice that Charmeleon and Charmander, as well as Charizard, is going to become most likely our strongest Pokemon. Either way, we defeat him this time, we get the Thunder Badge, and now it's time to head out and check out some new places. First things first is going to be heading into the SS Anne. Of course, the SS Anne, we're going to be meeting this old gentleman. You guys may not remember him, but he's actually a guy that Ash actually gets to meet up to, and he has a Raticate. I think Ash even battles him, but at the end, he gets a special request, which is, do you want to trade? Okay, do you want to trade your Butterfree for my Raticate? And Ash does actually do it, but in the end, he kind of regrets it and he switches it back, which is exactly what I do here as well. I actually trade back the Butterfree, or rather the Raticate, for the Butterfree. We then run into Team Rocket with Jesse and James doing some nefarious things on the SS Anne. We put the Ekans to sleep and then defeat it with the help of Charmeleon, and this is where my problem became, where I kept overusing Charmeleon too much, but it is what it is. We take down Team Rocket and we help out the captain, as we then make it over to the beach here, where we actually release our Butterfree. Yes, this is an iconic moment from the anime, also probably one of the saddest moments, which is another thing, guys. What is your, favorite sad moment from Pokemon? Just want to know. Either way, we've made it all the way to Saffron City now, where we take on Sabrina. Of course, she's really creepy in the anime. If you guys may recall, she was genuinely just a creepy character. We take down her Abra, but she tells us, that's not enough. You haven't defeated me. Go to the Pokemon Tower if you actually want to get your hands on a Pokemon that can take me down. Unfortunately, we don't actually find the Haunter in here. I don't know where it was. Maybe there was a location I was supposed to find it, but we return now to take her on, and we take down the Kadabra. which was actually pretty hard because I had to rebattle her a few times. Nonetheless, though, now that we've defeated the Kadabra, we have another gym badge, so we head over towards, I guess, Celadon City, but before that, we run into Misty, who wants to have a battle. Well, of course, her team is just a bunch of water types, so we don't stand much of a chance with Charmeleon, so we switch over into Pidgeotto, who's able to take him down with a bunch of gusts and a few quick attacks and all that sort of stuff, and eventually we do defeat her. We run into Gary as well in the city, and he's just kind of mocking us for how many badges we have. So, Erica is up next. Of course, she uses, well, I mean, just a bunch of grass-type Pokemon. That's her whole squad, so we're not going to stand much of any trouble here. We're just going to be able to take it down with a bunch of flamethrowers and easily getting the burns as well. As you may notice, we just keep getting the burn hacks, which is perfect. But nonetheless, though, the Gloom is taken out, and we've got ourselves another gym badge, which means there's not really that many gym badges left now in the Kanto region before we also run into Primeape. Yes, it's honestly one of Ash's best Pokemon, one of my personal favorites of his, but that he never really used after he kind of left it behind. Either way, we make it to the Grand Prix. You guys may remember this episode where, well, Ash, I think, as well as Brock, compete in a basically boxing tournament, and we make it all the way to the end here where we take down the Hitmonchan with Charmeleon and get ourselves another victory. We also find Muck and add him to the squad, and we end up using Muck a few times throughout this journey, but for the most part, it isn't our most used Pokemon. Fuchsia is here, and we battle this old man before we get entrance into the Safari Zone. Here we, of course, capture 31 Tauros, and then it's time to take on Koga in the Fuchsia City Gym. We use Charmeleon as well as Pidgeotto against this battle, as we will be needing them both to take down Koga. He uses Venomoth, so here we go for the Flamethrower, which is able to take him down after 2 hits. Golbat, though, does a lot of damage, and we do a little bit of a Pidgeotto, but we're able to defeat him with the help of our boy, well, Charmeleon, or Charizard, as he evolves into a Charizard eventually. Either way, we have the Soul Badge now, and we're also going to be able to take on the next location, which is going to be in Cinnabar Island. We go through the mansion and then go to the Cinnabar Gym, which is on a whole volcano, so we go there to take on Blaine. Now, you guys remember Blaine? Well, he looked a little bit different in the actual anime, just looked a bit more wacky, but here we're battling against basically the regular Blaine. We take down his Ninetales with Charizard, and then we're able to take down Rhydon with the help of an Aqua Tail from Squirtle, as well as the Magmar being taken out. However, this battle isn't won. We got to go and deactivate the volcano from exploding, and then have a final battle against a 1v1 against his Magmar, which I think is exactly what happened in the anime, was a Charizard versus Magmar specifically, so pretty cool coincidence. Either way, after doing this, we head back to Viridian, where it looks like, well, Team Rocket's taken over the Viridian Gym, or well, they always controlled it, and we gotta take down Mewtwo, which we do with the help of the burn and also Primeape's scratch there, leaving us only now to deal with Team Rocket themselves, or Jesse and James, because Ash never actually battled Giovanni himself, I think, in the anime. I don't think he actually battled him here in this scenario, but thanks to Charizard, we're able to take down most of their team relatively easily, just with spamming Wing Attack, as well as, I think, just a bunch of Flamethrowers. Either way, they are defeated, which means we have our Earth Badge, which is the final badge we need before we can now go and take on the championship. Yes, the Indigo League is well in front of us. We're about to take it on and see how far we can get. Of course, you guys may remember this was the first one he competed in, and where, well, things didn't really go the best. So first of all, we take down a bunch of trainers. There's loads of them, so just go through them one by one. And then we talk to Gary, who says, well, hey, we're going to be battling each other, I guess, maybe possibly eventually as well. And if we do get to that point, let's see who the better, trainer is. Either way, we take down a few different trainers, and in the end, we only place in top 16. And we don't even get to battle against Gary. We do receive a Mr. Mime, though, and add him to our squad, and then we get a ticket to go all the way to the Orange Islands. On the way there, though, Team Rocket stops us and takes over the blip, or blimp, whatever you want to call it, that we're supposed to be on, and we have to defeat them to make this stop. Either way, as we're doing this, though, it seems like the blip actually crashes, so now we're stuck on Valencia City, but that's not really a problem because we came here for Professor Ivy anyways to help her out with the GS Ball, which actually I think the naming for it was specifically supposed to be a hint towards gold and silver. We also run into Tracy. Some of you may remember him from the Orange Islands. He was a companion, which they basically switched out Brock for, so Brock was removed for the sake of Tracy. We actually defeat him, though, and Riddleless receive a Lapras. Lapras was a perfect Pokemon for this team. We really needed it. It was really useful. And then we take on Sissy. Now, this is one of the gym leaders from the Orange Islands. One of the few gym leaders that a lot of people don't really know about and may have forgotten if you didn't watch the Orange Islands anime, which a lot of people actually do skip over. We defeat her, though, and then we also run into Danny, who we also defeat. He was another one of the gym leaders. I didn't actually record the footage against him, and we add Snorlax to our squad as well. As we make further progress, we battle against none else than Lorelei herself. She was also in the Orange Islands, and a lot of the actual Elite Four members don't make themselves really present within like the regular anime, but only really show up later. We take on another one of the gym leaders here, and this one wasn't that difficult as well. We get the spike badge in this case, and then we run into Team Rocket again. They're stealing a War Turtle, so we defeat them in a quick battle as well here, thanks to Charizard, and return the War Turtle where it's supposed to be. Then we run into Luana, which is the final gym leader of this place. Alakazam is able to be taken down relatively easily here, with Charizard also helping with the Flamethrower. Lapras comes in with the Ice Beam, which takes him down, and we get the final gym badge. Before we can take on the Island Challenge, though, and defeat Drake, the final leader, we have to take on Misty. She, of course, uses, again, her same team of Goldeen, Psyduck, and for mostly just the same Pokemon. We defeat her quickly, though, and now it's time to take on Drake. Now, interestingly, this Drake isn't the same as the Drake from Hoenn. It's totally different, apparently, which is really weird, but we take down his Ditto. His Electabuzz doesn't stand much of a chance as well, and Onix does take our Charizard out, but fear not, we do have Lapras coming in, taking down the Onix, and also with the Ice Beam, able to freeze and destroy the Venusaur relatively easily. Then there's only really the Dragonite left here. We do lose Lapras, but we have Tauros coming in with the clutch, and we get ourselves the victory. And there it is. We actually got ourselves our first victory. Then we also go to the Elemental Islands. You guys remember that from the Pokemon 2000 movie with Lugia and all that. But either way, after finishing things up there within the Orange Islands, we return back home where we meet up against Gary, and then we get ourselves a free ticket over to Johto. Here we run up to Professor Elm, who doesn't actually give us a starter Pokemon. Instead, we get our hands on a Heracross and Chikorita on our own, and then we run into specifically Team Rocket over in the Sprout Tower. Now, this tower wasn't that difficult. We defeat them, and then we run into Falkner, the first gym leader of the Johto region. He, of course, has himself a bunch of flying-type Pokemon. First up is Hoot Hoot. We take it down with an Electro Ball from Pikachu, and then also an Electro Ball against the Dodrio, which also just leaves us with one Pokemon, which is Pidgeotto. And in the same case here, we just take it down with some easy shots. The Zephyr badge is now ours, and we can make our way to the next location. Here, we actually go and leave our Charizard behind. You guys remember in the anime, this is where, well, Ash leaves his Charizard behind at this point. Then we run into Bugsy, which is the second gym leader of the region. In this case, we have the same situation. We're able to take down the first Pokemon Spinarak and the Scyther relatively easily with just a few Thunderbolts, leaving Metapod against us, and there it is, the Hive badge is ours. We run into Brock once more. He doesn't really stand much of a chance. We're able to take down his Pineco and all of his Johto Pokemon as we make our way into the Elix Forest. Here, we find a Totodile, and we defeat Misty to have the right to take it over her, and also find ourselves the shiny Noctowl. We get into Goldenrod, where we take on none else than, well, the myth, the legend, Whitney. She is quite the spectacle, but don't fear, we are way strong with Lapras. We just go for the Ice Beam spam, and it takes her out. However, she wants to battle us a second time. Apparently, winning once is not enough, so we go and battle her on the next route, and here we take her out and get the Plane badge. We get to Ecruteak City, where we help out Morty by defeating Team Rocket because they're making trouble, so we take them out by using our, well, lovely Lapras. I said it, Lapras is going to become a big part of the team. Then we actually take on Morty himself. If you guys don't know Morty, well, he just uses a bunch of Ghost-type Pokemon. That's his whole shtick. That's his whole thing. That's all he does. We take down the Ghastly with an Ice Beam. Then he also has a Gengar. Same thing here. Just Ice Beam all the way through, leaving him with the Haunter. Same thing here. Just an Ice Beam. And ladies and gentlemen, we have the Fog badge. Now that we have that, we go to Olivine City, where we run into Jasmine, who needs medicine for her Ampharos. However, we go to Cyanwood City first, where we can actually battle Chuck. Now, he uses Fighting-type Pokemon, and as I think even has a mix of like some Water-type, I think Poliwrath, something along those lines. So we do take it down with a Mega Punch from Snorlax, and we go in for the Earthquake here, but we don't actually get it off before Lapras has to come in with the Ice Beam to clutch up and win it, as we get ourselves the Storm badge. Then we end up on these islands. Now, here we actually get to do a bit of a side mission. I think this is one of the weird Pokemon episodes where you get to deal with Lugia and like a baby Lugia, which is totally disassociated with the whole like Pokemon 2000 movie. It's not even connected to that. It's super weird. Nonetheless, though, we have to battle Brock before we can take on Jasmine, so we take down his team, and now it's time to take on Jasmine herself. She, of course, uses Steel-type Pokemon as they were introduced in Johto, so we should have an easy time because we do have Ice Beam. So first up, we take down the Magnemite and the Steelix without too much trouble. Next up, though, we make our way over to the next city where Team Rocket is trying to stop us as we make it to the Lake of Rage, where we run into Lance, the champion Lance. And he tells us, hey, go deal with the the shiny Gyarados, which we do, as we then finish our journey going into Mahogany Town. Here we got to battle Price. He uses Ice-type Pokemon, which also weren't really that popular, or that, you know, not many people really used them back then. We take down the Piloswine as well as the Dugong without, again, too much trouble. The Ice Cave isn't too much trouble as we make it to Blackthorn City. Here, we got to battle against Claire. Claire, of course, uses Dragon-type Pokemon, and I think because of the existence of, I guess, some Ice-type Pokemon towards the end of these games, you actually had a few Pokemon against her that would be strong, because Dragon-types used to be broken back in the day. Either way, the battle isn't even over, though, because we gotta stop Team Rocket before she will give us the gym badge. So, we help her out by stopping Team Rocket in the Dragon Den, and then we return to take her on for an actual final battle. This time around, though, she has a Kingdra, so she's using a full team properly this time, and we get to battle her. Her Gyarados is really difficult, but we're able to take it down with the help of a few air slashes as it falls, leaving only the Dragonair, and in this case, well, I'm not having too much trouble either. We got Charizard back. We got it earlier, actually, before we got to Blackthorn City. Like, right before the Ice Cave, I think we actually returned him back to our team. We make our way now to the Silver Conference. That this is specifically the tournament, you know, to determine who's the best trainer in all of Johto. And here we get to have our actual proper battle against Gary. He has a Nidoking. We get the burn off with the Flamethrower. Then we go and switch over into Snorlax, trying to get the Earthquake off. We're actually able to defeat one of his Pokemon there with the help of Snorlax. But then for the most part, Charizard has to come through and clutch up against the Scizor and pretty much the rest of the full team here, including Arcanine. I mean, I'm gonna be real, Charizard was Ash's probably strongest Pokemon up until the point, I guess, Greninja was added in. But I don't really know now, guys. You know, have a whole turf war in the comment section. Tell me which one was better. Either way, our journey in Johto now pretty much ends as we are having a final battle against Misty, because she's gonna say goodbye and go take over the gym. And we placed in, like, I think the top 16 there in that tournament. So now we get ourselves new outfits, new armor, new everything, new Pokemon as we head over to Little Root as well as the Hoenn region. We first have a battle against May because she wants to see how strong we really are. Only problem is we have a Pikachu that's like, you know, and a Charizard is level like 68 and stuff, and she has a level 5 Torchic rather, so it's not really much of a challenge. We make it over to Petalburg City though. Here we run into Normand or Noland. He wants to have a battle against us, and while we take him out, we don't actually go and battle Roxanne as well. However, the issue is I didn't record the Roxanne battle, so unfortunately I can't really show you that, but we do go over to the Devoncorp and defeat a Team Aqua Grunt, because this will give us now access to, well, the help of Mr. Briny to take us over to Dewford, because we gotta head to Dewford to take on the next gym battle in the Hoenn region. In this case, it's going to be against none else than Brawly. He, of course, uses fighting-type Pokemon. However, even if we defeat him here, he still isn't going to give us a gym badge. We still have to do some extra work. So Machop falls to our Pikachu, and same thing goes for his Makuhita. Now that we defeated him though, you'd think we get the gym badge, but nope. He tells us, hey, you got to battle me again in a different location. But before that, we pick up Corphish. They have really similar names. Either way, Corphish, again, a very forgotten Pokemon of Ash's. Not really many people use it, but nonetheless, we make it over to him again, and this time his Machop again falls to the Electro Ball, but Pikachu is now up against a Hariyama instead of a Makuhita, because I guess he evolved it in the time span where, you know, that passed there, in the time that we were gone or that he was training. But eventually we take him down and we get the Knuckle badge. So now we made our way over to Slateport City. Here it looks like though Team Magma is making some trouble. They're making some problems happen, so we make sure to go and help out as much as we can by taking down all the grunts, including as well as Tabitha. Now, Tabitha is actually one of the admins of Team Magma, so we take him on. Now, the thing is, he looked way different in the anime versus what he looks like in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire and versus what he looks like in Ruby and Sapphire. Just very big difference. Nonetheless, though, we defeat him and help out the place. Then we make our way to Mobile City, where we take on Watson, the electrified gym leader, the man, the myth, the legend, the big man. Well, guess what? He has 3 Pokemon. One of them is Magnemite. We go for the double kick. Same thing for the next Pokemon in his squad, which is going to be none else than Magneton. Same thing here. It's just a bunch of double kicks. That's all you really got to do, and eventually they will fall because, well, they're just weak to fighting type moves. I don't really know if they had the partial steel typing in this case or not in this game, but you know, it is what it is. Nonetheless, they do fall, and we got ourselves another gym badge. Now we got to make our way up here, and we run into the Mirage Kingdom, which is an actual, like, a whole subplot area place, like a kingdom within only the anime. It never actually made an appearance anywhere in the games, but we go there because it's a whole place that's just, you know, a bunch of people there have Togepi's. So, of course, Misty is here for whatever reason because she has a Togepi or a Togetic that she's going to leave behind. We then make it into Lava Ridge Town. Here we're going to be able to take on the Fire-type gym leader, Flannery. Of course, she's going to be, well, a little bit interesting to go up against. We do have, of course, Charizard, so, you know, we're not really going to be weak against her Fire types, but nonetheless, we take down her take down her team relatively easily. Mecargo falls, as well as her Slugma. So again, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Torkoal doesn't stand much of a chance. We get ourselves another dub and another gym badge. However, as we're running out of Lava Ridge Town, we run into a cave where we find ourselves a Torkoal. Yes, Torkoal, the good old friend Torkoal, which Ash uses, is added to our squad, and now we have an even bigger team of Pokemon. We make it over to Route 117 and eventually over to Petalburg City, where we run into May, who wants to have a battle with us to prove if we're good enough to take on her dad, Norman. So that's exactly what we do. Destroy her Beautifly, her Torchic, they stand no chance, and then it's time to take on Norman himself. He, of course, uses a mixture of, like, I guess, normal type Pokemon with, like, Slackoth and all that. Slackoth falls relatively quickly. Same thing goes for his Vigoroth. Doesn't stand much of a chance. And so we are able to take down the Slacking as well here with just one Flamethrower. Of course, we are a bit over leveled. I'm not even going to lie. We are a bit above that. So the balance badge wasn't that difficult. But nonetheless, we make it over to the Weather Institute. We deal with Team Aqua. And then there's also a Team Magma member here as well. Turns out it's actually one of the admins hidden as a regular actual person. And I think all these things are somewhat from the anime. Like every aspect is kind of part of an episode. So in case you've seen something like this, try to like look up and see how similar they really are. Like the actual events of the game versus the events of the video game we're playing here. Nonetheless, after finishing things up, it's time to make it over to Fort Tree City. Now, before we can actually take on Winona, we have to battle Brock again because, well, he just likes to get in the way every time we're almost about to take on a gym leader. So we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and battle him. Fortress here is really just annoying because it has sturdy, so we have to hit it a few more times. It sets up spikes for whatever reason. Lombrace doesn't stand much of a chance, and it looks like, well, I'm gonna be real, I feel like he's actually downgraded. His team got worse in Hoenn. Somehow he actually downgraded his team. Nonetheless, we make it into the gym, and now it's time to take on Winona, who uses flying type Pokemon, a mixture of them, so to say, but she has 3 Pokemon against us, so let's see what we can do. First up is Altaria. It falls relatively quickly as well. Then we also have on our hands Pelipper. Now, it is a water type, but we are way over leveled in this case, and I will be honest, over leveling is worth it. Swellow is the last Pokemon, as it is a shiny as well, and now we've taken down another gym. There's only really 2 gyms left within Hoenn itself, so we get over to Lily Cove City, and then we battle this guy who takes us to Route 124, and this is where all the chaos is happening right now. We're here to actually help out Lance, as it seems that, well, guess what? Team Rocket, as well as Team Aqua and Team Magma are all trying to get their hands on, well, Groudon and Kyogre. So we help out by defeating a bunch of the grunts here. We take down their Houndooms, their Mighty Hyenas, all the stuff they have before we go and defeat, of course, none else than Groudon and, of course, none else than Kyogre. These 2 are beasts, and, well, we take them out and stop Team Aqua and Team Magma, as well as Team Rocket, from doing anything bad. As we make it into Moss Deep City, we have to battle Tate and Lisa, which are some of the, I guess, weirdest kind of people you can go up against. I mean, the 2 Pokemon they use are really weird. It's Lunatone and Solrock, which is a weird combo, but they are also relatively easy because we have Brine on Lapras, so they just stand no chance, as we do have the type advantage, and we take them down, getting ourselves our penultimate gym badge. There's only 1 left to go in the Hoenn region before we can take on the Evergrande Conference. So we go over here, we just deal with a few different people. This guy actually offers to take us to Stopula City, but only takes us to Izabe Island. Here we run into Drake, one of the Elite 4 from specifically the games, I guess in this case, and I think he's also present within the anime. He takes us on. He has, of course, Dragon-type Pokemon, but he doesn't really stand much of a chance to our Flamethrowers, and we also get the burn on his Altaria as well here, and then we finish it off with an Air Slash. So he doesn't stand much of a chance, but he tells us not to be too cocky, which is fair enough. We get to Solotopolis City, where our final gym badge is awaiting us. Now, this gym badge is going to be against none else than the man Juan. Now, Juan is kind of I don't even know what to say about this guy. Just kind of a forgotten gym leader. I don't really feel like anybody talks about Juan, man. He's just forgotten in the exchange of other characters. Either way, his Celio and his, I guess, Seeking stand not much of a chance, but he wants to have a double, or I guess 2 battles, so double the amount of battles. So we got to take him on once again. This time around, though, well, guess what? It's going to be easier. He's got a Love Disc, so we take it down relatively quickly. And he also has a Whiscash. Same thing here. Just Aerial Ace it, and it's gone, leaving him with just the Melodic. And that one also falls relatively fast, which means we've taken out and gotten our final gym badge. But what's left now? Well, we got to go over specifically to Pacific Lodge Town, first of all, before we actually go over to Evergrande, because May wants to have a battle to prove herself before we go and take on Evergrande and take on the conference and take on the league. So we take down her Combuskin, and also, by the way, Combuskin is a cool ass Pokemon. We take down her, just the rest of her team. She even has a Bulbasaur and a Beautifly in this case, which both fall relatively fast, leaving only Munchlax, which also falls to our power. Man, Charizard is a strong Pokemon. So now it's time. The Evergrande Conference is here, and before we go inside, we do take on Brock because he just wants to battle us once again. We defeat him relatively quickly. He also has the Mudkip, which is adorable because we all love Mudkips. And then we get into the, the conference itself. We take on the challenges. There's a few different battles you can have here. First up is against this fella right here, and he has himself a pretty strong team, man. The Sceptile falls relatively fast to us. We also have the next Pokemon in this case, which is going to be a Donphan. Same thing here. We just go for Flamethrower. It does have Sturdy, though, which just keeps it alive at like 1 HP, but fear not, we do defeat it as well, leaving him with a Metagross that also doesn't stand much of a chance. And, ladies and gentlemen, I think for the most part, this battle was relatively quick. Didn't really take long. There was a lot of different challenges in this case, but most of his team is really weak against Charizard, which, of course, is unfair because I should be probably, trying to use some of my other Pokemon as well, but Charizard is just fun because he's broken. I mean, come on. It's just more enjoyable to use Charizard because, I mean, look at him. He's just got a nice little face. Either way, after defeating them there, it turns out that we didn't place higher than like top 8 or something like that, and then we have to go back and talk to Professor Oak. He tells us, hey, you should take part in the Battle Frontier, which just opened up in the Kanto region, so come on over and have some fun. So that's what we do. We actually go around the region. We run into Scott here, who will give us a Battle Frontier pass, only if we can defeat, well, Agatha, which you guys may remember from Pokemon, well, Red, Blue, Green, as well as Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. She uses Ghost type, so we defeat her one singular Gengar, and then we get the Frontier Pass. Now we can use this to actually compete in the Battle Frontier. First up is this fella right here. His name is Noland, which I confused with Norman, so either way, he's got himself an Articuno, which is going to be highly weak against Charizard, and it is level 50, so had we not been using like this fella, we wouldn't really stand much of a chance. We go for the Flare Blitz, which is a one-hit KO. Now that we've defeated Noland, we can make our way forward into the next battle, which is going to be against the other Frontier Brains. So these are also like leaders of different, like, Battle Frontier locations. Before that, though, May does stop us again here. She wants to have a battle, so we take her on. We defeat her Munchlax without too much trouble, and then we can make our way down into the next location. Here we're going to run into, well, Greta. I don't really know if I remember her much. She was in the Battle Frontier arc and all that, but she is the Arena Tycoon in this case, and so we take her on. She has a Hariyama. Charizard comes out real quick because, well, he's our main boy. We do only have like 2 PP left on our Flamethrower, but it's not really that big of a deal. We're able to pretty much just get it all off without too much of a hitch. So we go for the second Flamethrower. It does a lot of damage against the Hariyama, and it falls, leaving us with another Pokemon to deal with, which is going to be Medicham. Same thing here. We don't really have much left, so we go for the Flare Blitz, just kind of the nuclear option, and we do take a lot of, I guess, recall from that, but it's not enough to kill us, so it doesn't really matter. And we get the Guts symbol, so we need to collect all the symbols to be able to get our hands on, I guess, the final battle and become a Frontier Brain ourselves. But next up is going to be Dome Ace Tucker. Now, this fella uses a combination of Pokemon. He's got himself a Arcanine and a Swampert. And here, we just gotta try our best to spam as much Brine and, just try to avoid Surf as much as we can. We also run into a Celebi. Yes, this is a whole thing that happens. I decided not to capture it because Ash never actually captured a Celebi as far as I remember within the anime. I don't think that ever happened. Just from the top of my head, I don't think he ever got one. So we try not to capture that. And we also run into a Deoxys, which is another Pokemon that I'm pretty sure Ash did not capture. He definitely probably ran into it in the anime, but he didn't capture it. We then also go up against all the other Frontier Brains. There's a lot of them, to be frankly honest with you guys, and these battles took a long time. Like, it took a long time trying to get through all these. We spent a lot of in-game days trying to get through these guys, but eventually, once we defeated all of them, we make it over to Brandon. Now, Brandon is the final Frontier Brain, the arguably strongest one of them, and he kicks off with a Regirock. It's the only Pokemon he uses in this first battle. We have Charizard out here, and we try to go for just kind of the Flamethrower just to see what we can do with that. Doesn't really do that much damage. He tries to, I think, lock onto us, which doesn't do much either. We go for the Flare Blitz, which was a mistake. It doesn't do a lot of damage. I mean, it is a Rock-type Pokemon, so we try to go for another Flamethrower and hoping that we're able to finish it off with a final one, which we do. However, after doing this, we go and take him on for an actual final battle. He kicks off with a Dusclops. This thing is not going to stand much of a chance against the Air Slashes. He also then kicks out with another Pokemon. In this case, it's going to be a Solrock. We do take a lot of damage from it, but Air Slashing it multiple times is enough to defeat it. Reggie stands no chance against a single hit from the Flamethrower, and then we Flare Blitz and finish off the Ninjask, which also means we've taken out the Frontier Brains, which also means that's going to be the end of this journey.